Hey, welcome to Her Authentic Journey, the podcast. I am your host, Navasia Collier, woman, soon-to-be wife, mother of 3, and the former strong, independent woman. Along my journey, I discovered the secret key to the more in life is in your authenticity. This podcast is about becoming unstuck in who you thought you had to be as a strong, independent, maybe the responsible one, and become who we were meant to be. Myself and other resilient guests will share what we only wish someone shared with us early on. Topics, tips, lessons learned and unlearned while on our personal journeys of becoming true to who we are, not who we've had to be. Now, this purposeful, resilient life that you and I are meant for not only requires authenticity, it is also intentionality. Steering you away from just pushing and getting through life, we believe in the Method on Purpose roadmap of mindset, environment, time, honesty, obstacles, and the doing all work together to begin designing a life that is and feels more purposefully fulfilled, a life you actually love. So tune in, come along, join our Facebook community, and begin your authentic journey today. Surviving through your trauma, it doesn't mean you've healed from it. Because a particular fear of yours hasn't showed its ugly head in a while, doesn't mean it has suddenly disappeared. Because things are much better than where you come from or what people said you could be, doesn't mean there still isn't work to be done. Because it is an easier, maybe quicker way, doesn't mean it is the right way. Because this is your way of doing things, it is definitely not the only way. Why do I say all that? Because there's perception and there is reality. Perception is the lens we wear at any given time, our mindset and views of people, things, and events. That doesn't make it factual though, does it? Well, while growing up, our parents, grandparents knew the answer to everything, right? They lived more life, so we looked up to them, and valued their insight and wisdom, even if their point of view or directive was followed by, because I said so, hard stop. We were sometimes confused. However, what did we know, right? For instance, you're a girl, you should put on more clothes. Don't tell people your business. No, you can't stay at so-and-so's house. Don't you ever say those words, or more specific things such as, Aunt so-and-so, she doesn't come around because she thinks she is too good for us now. Your dad, he has a new family now. Don't trust any man that doesn't have X, Y, and Z. So some of us have adopted these same automatic responses. Whether it was intentional or not, we heard it so much, it is just what you can find yourself telling your children the same. We now know that those words were most likely birthed in their fears, limited beliefs, survival mindset, and all the things that they have seen, experienced, and collected over the years due to their trauma, heartbreak, and life lessons. Some of which we are still uncovering, right? Let's be honest, most of what we do know, we had to piece together or find out on our own later on in life. And just wish that had they just explained this to us earlier, we would have avoided so much in life. So if you are following, you know the answer that I'm probably going to ask you. What are you talking at your children that you should be explaining to your children? What are we passing off as wisdom when in reality is pain? Yes, of course, there are times, places, and certain ages that need to be taken in consideration, but you get my point. How many decisions have you made due to those strong directives or words of pain that were disguised as wisdom growing up? What about our children? How many decisions have they made due to ours? Our life circumstances, our teenage mother experiences, our life lessons. It all has impacted our words of wisdom as well. Listen, when my daughter decided to apply out of state for her junior year of college, after we have spent pretty much every day of her 19 to 20 years together. My gosh. Although I didn't think it was a smart idea to apply to only one college, my feelings were initially ecstatic. Like, I was so excited, so happy. And just for a brief backstory, it was in her middle school age years where my daughter hit, that moment. Now, if you have a teen or had a teen daughter, you might know what I mean. The age and the attitude where you can find yourself, you know, that age and attitude that they have where you can find yourself feeling like, listen, it is either me or you. One of us has to go. But yeah, it was a rough time for us both during her middle school years. But she turned things around. And not only that, she got accepted to the one college she wanted. I was so excited and happy for her, but I could feel the film of protection and prevention beginning to take over my entire body. The closer we got to the drop off month, the feelings started to surface. The feelings of all the reasons why I should be worried. The distance, not being by her side, protecting her, watching over her. The thoughts and all the things you can think of that could go wrong, and it would be my fault because I allowed her. How unprepared she may be to go off alone and make decisions on her own. All the things, right? I started to feel defenseless. Avoidance kicked in, feeling defenseless and out of control. Not reckless, but I have no control feeling, right? Want you to keep her nearby so I can protect her. She was my responsibility. All I could do was find a corner, crawl up in it, in the ball every chance I got. I was crippled. Now, this all happened when I say felt like moments after my defining moment, but it was more like months, maybe close to a year. The defining moment of falling to my very knees, praying because I could not do life in the same way anymore. That I did not know who I was anymore for myself without who I was for everyone else. So by the grace of God, I had began the work becoming more self-aware. Began what is now my Method on Purpose roadmap. So I started putting the pieces together of what I felt was left of me. This gave me the ability and finally enough capacity to catch myself in that moment, crawled up in a ball in every corner I could find, feeling crippled by my fears. I had caught myself because things were about to go left. I was almost paralyzed by my fear. But I now know God has shifted me at that time intentionally. Because of that, and just starting, I could allow myself to see with brand new eyes. Not the eyes I had to wear my entire life, or what it seemed like was my entire life. Even though she would not be in my immediate reach for the first time in 19 years, starting a new thing, making her own decisions, not there to protect her, prevent the worst from happening, and being by her side during it all, I didn't want her to feel alone. I, by then, had enough capacity to attempt to see her vision, hear her dreams, and believe that she is not me. Believe God for the change and difference and the chains that may be breaking and may be birthed in her. Because I don't know what, but at that time I could feel something was birthing in me. It wasn't easy work. It was hard work and a hard process to unlearn what my body has been trained and knows what to do in times of fear. In result, I made myself available to her the entire prepping process before leaving for college, all while still making my very own. She's my firstborn, my baby, my daughter. I never wanted her to feel alone like I once did. So in order to make that happen, in order to be there for her and support her in the way she needed, I had to be honest with her in order for this to happen. So if you are that woman that currently finds herself in a place curled up in the corner of the sofa when it comes to your children, filled with your own internal fears of your own life and the responsibility of things going right, because if wrong, it's on you as a strong, independent mom. I want you to think about your values when it comes to your child. If not, the uncomfortable feeling you feel will show up. The shakiness in your voice when they call, the avoidance to protect your own feelings, the constant questions, the untrusting banter, all of it, whatever it may look like, can make him or her uncomfortable as well. And that feeling of uncomfort could push them into probably questioning their decisions, their dreams, goals, feeling as if they have to take responsibility for your feelings and make sure you are okay. Your actions, your words can be about your true concerns for them, but to them, they can appear and feel unsupported by you. Not feeling supported. You know what that feels like yourself. You wish to give them the support you've never had. However, here you are, and there they are. Old scars can show up at the most unlikely and unwanted times. I'm sure you can agree. Scars run so deep, we sometimes don't recognize it as we speak it, wear it, and pass it on. So maybe it is time to check and see if those scars are resurfacing. And if they are they showing up in the way you would want? Is it in alignment with what is important and dear to your heart? Listen, I don't know if you have noticed, but it just really feels and seems like God is doing a thing and a new thing in us women lately. I don't know if you heard me say this before, but I believe women to be the foundation of our families and also the lead influencer of our family as well. So let us not continue to see through the lens of our own hurt and our own pain. Giving advice and wisdom that is birthed in a limited vision that we have had for ourselves. We must begin to influence from a place of sincerity, authenticity, and honesty for ourselves first. We have to be careful. We are not putting our children through our mess because we did not heal, placing our own fears onto them. They are the change makers. Let them be great with our guidance and support, not guilt and responsibility for your feelings. That is a lot for anyone, especially the one who wants nothing more than to make their parent happy. If you find yourself in this situation, before responding, there are a few questions I want you to ask yourself. Is your response, is it about them or is it about you? Are your actions in this situation, is it in alignment with your core values as a parent? Have you taken the time out to listen? Have you considered their point of view? And finally, we do not get everything right. Our parents didn't get everything right, so our children won't either. Believe in yourself that what you did give and what you will continue to give and instill in them. We are still growing just like them. We are still growing ourselves. We are still breathing, so we are still learning and experiencing life each day. We need to be okay with still growing as adults. I think the world would be a much better place if we gave ourselves the permission to grow, even as adults. If we actually gave ourselves permission to grow, even as adults. So I hope this episode was helpful and impacted someone. Remember, I am here to support you. You can schedule a brief chat with me. Tell me how you are really doing and how I can better support you. Also, do not forget to grab the free resource for the woman who feels like she is everything for everyone. You can find it all in the show notes below the description. If you are a continued listener, please rate and review this podcast. It helps us to become noticed by other women just like yourself. Share this podcast with a friend. You can also support this podcast down below. As always, I appreciate you all. And until next time, remember, be true to who you are, not who you've had to be. Thank you for listening to Her Authentic Journey, the podcast. I hope you enjoyed and were able to grab something meaningful from this episode. If so, please support by sharing with a friend, rate and review. You can also refer to our show notes for more. Until next time, remember, be true to who you are, not who you've had to be.